Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to
Vaughn Radio.
That's right, it's Vaughn Radio, and it's time for Liftoff. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, baby.
Ignition.
Come on.
Liftoff.
We got this. We got this, folks. Hold on to your hats, because here we go. Come on. Get off the ground. Get ready. Hold on to your hats. Strap on your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts. Hold on to your hats. Get ready for the ride of your life. The show with no name time. On Vaughn Radio. It's a show with no name. Let's go. Hello, hello. Welcome, amigos. Welcome, one. Welcome, all. It's the show with no name, and we're here to have some fun, to learn some English, to play, and even to make friends. Who would have thunk it? What? Who would have thunk it? But thunk? Isn't it think, thought? Yeah. But this is one we say wrong on purpose. It's like a way of saying, huh? Who would have thunk it? ¿Quién lo habría dicho? We say pensado, pero no se conjuga thunk, sino thought. Otra vez, recuerdo, se dice mal aposta, como me he quedado de piedra. Who would have thunk it? We came here today to play, to have some fun. In Madrid, we had a long weekend. As you know, your teacher is always hard at work. So I was working yesterday. Well, remember, even when there's no show with no name, I produce my podcast, FYI. So I was working on this coming week's episode, where we're going to look at mountains. Oh, yeah. It's a great episode. I mean, I don't want to make a mountain of a molehill. Make a mountain of a molehill. Hacer una situación más grande. Exagerarlo. To make a mountain of a molehill. So stay tuned for that. That's FYI. But this is the show with no name and talking about staying tuned. Now, it's official, folks. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time of year again. Spring has sprung. And that means it's time for the book fair at the Retiro Park in Madrid. It kicks off on May 26th till June 11th. Join us at Grupo Vaughn's stand 312, 312. I'll be there with Damian Moya presenting our latest book. And my amigos will be there signing their books as well. Don't miss
Julia Linares, or Jules, host of the Let's Get Random show.
Dave Boys, host of The Salads.
Jimena Holiday, host of Test Your English.
Guy Williams, host of Western Civilization.
Natasha Pasqua, host of Back to Basics.
Kyle Miller from The Drive Time Show.
Richard Vaughn.
And many more. Meet your favorite Vaughn presenters, teachers, and authors at Feria del Libro 2023. Stand 312. Check out our website for the complete schedule, grupovaughn.com, and follow us on social media for further updates. Feria del Libro 2023 with Vaughan at the Retiro Park in Madrid. Join us at stand 312, 312. That's right, folks. Feria del Libro. It is gonna be epic, amigos. Let me run down some times for you. I'll give you some of the most, well, some of the ones I have. These are the ones that are confirmed, so write them down if you want to see your favorite teachers at the book fair at stand 312, Grupo Baugan. I will be there with my buddy, my partner, Damian Moya, presenting our new book. This book is the shit. You guys are going to love it. It really is the shit. Que es la leche, la bomba. I really, really think you're going to love it. So we'll be there Saturday, May 27th, Saturday, June 3rd, and Sunday, June 11th from 11 to 2. That's all of them are from 11 to 2 p.m. at stand 312. Then you got Richard Vaughn. He'll be there May 27th from 7 to 9 and a couple other dates. But check our website either way. Dave Boys, he'll be there with his guitar, making some noise, making some music with Canciones con Animales en Inglés. He'll be there Saturday, June 10th from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30. Kyle Miller from Drive Time, Sunday, June 4th from 12 to 2 p.m. Ximena, signing her many books, including Expresiones en Inglés. She'll be there Saturday, June 3rd at 5 p.m. And then again, Sunday, June 11th, also at 5 p.m. Then you've got the lovely Tash Pasqua. She'll be there from on June 11th, from 12 noon to 2 p.m. And then you've got Guy Williams. He'll be there some evenings, Sunday, June 4th and Sunday, June 11th, from 7 to 9 p.m. Guy Williams will be there signing his books and chatting with you guys, the students. And last but not least, Jules Linares will be there June 28th at 7 p.m. It's stand 312 at the book fair at Feria del Libro. We can't wait. These are just some times. If you want more information, of course, check our website. It's grupovon.com. But now it's official, guys. I've got a countdown in my phone, and it is less than 10 days away. Man, now it's real. And I assume at some point this week, fingers crossed, I'll have the book in my hands. And next week, not next weekend, the following one, you'll have it in your hands. So I hope you guys join us at Feria del Libro. Exciting. All right, let's rock and roll with our first challenge. It's today's pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Here we go. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Let's go. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. That's right, folks. It's our pop quiz on the show with no name, and today it's coming from my buddy, my Canadian friend, Kyle Miller. You can catch his program Drive Time every day on the Vaughn Radio app, or you can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. And if you didn't write it down, Kyle will be at the book fair Sunday, June 4th from 12 to 2 p.m. He is wonderful. I'm sure he'll sign any book you want him to, including his 2 books as well. And as you guys know, he has written what I call the Business English Bible. You know, he calls it Business English, but I call it the Business English Bible. I have a way of giving things my own nicknames. So Kyle Miller, my great friend from Canada, the host of Drive Time and the author of Business English. Well, folks, this is a translation that he gives us from his program on his Twitter translation. Let's see how you guys do. And obviously, if you're not following Kyle Miller on social media, follow him. Follow Vaughn, follow Jules, follow Tosh, follow Dave Boys. These are the names that I'm saying. I'm saying them for a reason, because these are these are teachers that are always posting content. I think all of us are on social media, but one thing is being on social media, and another thing is posting content on a regular basis. And as you know, I'm always posting content. And wait a second, I totally forgot. Guys, this is some really great news here, but guess who's celebrating a birthday? FYI.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. We love you. We love you.
That's right, folks. So 3 years, and we are on the cusp of 500,000 downloads. Thank you to all of you FYIers. I know you guys are show with no namers, but thank you to all you FYIers. And remember, if you haven't done it, please go over, give us 5 stars. The Show with No Name, Vaughn Radio, leave a comment. All of that helps. And in a world full of a lot of podcasts, well, hopefully it gets these a little more seen. And I think that's what everybody's looking for. Now, I don't have a marketing budget on FYI. Sorry. So I got to depend on you guys. I got to rely on you guys to spread the word. And it seems like you've been doing it, because you don't reach almost 500,000. We're not there yet, but we are celebrating 3 years since I started FYI. And now you see me in my studio, and I've got, my things around me. But I'll remind you, and those of you who have been with me, my FYIers from the beginning, you'll know that the first studio I had was my daughter's bedroom. So I had like time slots where I could use it obviously not at night when she was sleeping, and not when it was nap time. So we were sharing. So I'll never forget that. The first FYI studio was Lara's bedroom. And now, thankfully, I have a space where I can produce and create that content every week. And remember, you can get PDF documents with it as well. You can listen to the episodes, and I give you all that information. But wow, 3 years, and that would not be possible without you guys, the FYIers of the world. FYIers of the world, unite. All right, well, here's your challenge from my buddy Kyle Miller and his program Drive Time. And he asks us to translate this. No espero que me esperen más de 20 minutos. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So it's a double trouble in Spanish, isn't it? So no espero que me esperen más de 20 minutos. Okay? No espero que me esperen más de 20 minutos is our Twitter translation. And wait a second, am I seeing here that it is, or it was Lara? Lara, I'm calling you like my daughter. Sorry, Laura. Tengo un cacao ahí. Well, because I'm used to saying Lara, so you can understand. And either way, that's a compliment. When I say my daughter's name, I get a beautiful. So Laura, you understand. Laura, happy belated birthday. We didn't have a show, but we're going to celebrate with you right now. So Lara is going to sing happy birthday to FYI as she just did. But this one is for Laura.
Happy birthday to you.
There you go. Happy birthday, Laura, on behalf of my daughter, Lara, and all of the rest of your classmates who are sending you lots of love. So that's a good way to remember it. Every time Laura's having a birthday, so is FYI. That's beautiful. Oh, man, that is, what's the word I'm looking for here? Magical. All right, let's see what we've got over here. We've got some students in our chat room ready to chat, ready to use their English and interact with us here on the show with no name. Chris Valrol says, morning, amazing people. Chris, always a pleasure to read your name. Laura says, good morning, gorgeous show with no namers. Good morning to you, Laura, and happy belated birthday. There's German. German says, morning, guys. How you doing? Doing great now that you're here, German. Always a pleasure to have you with us. There's Kubla. He says, what's cooking? Good looking. I love that one. What's cooking? Good looking. ¿Qué hay? Paraguay? I don't know. What would be? Tiene que rimar, you know? No? Hola, hola, caracola? Maybe that would be it. What's cooking? Good looking. Hola, hola, caracola. Let's see. Born to Iron Man says, morning, folks. What's up, Born to Iron Man? Let's hope we don't get censored in today's spelling bee. Oh, Lord. Jay Lima in the house. Presente. He says, good morning, Double A. How are you, champ? I'm doing great. As I said, yesterday was a holiday, but I had to work anyway. But not too much. Just enough. I had to work in the morning, and then we went to celebrate the local festivals where I live, and then Guardians of the Galaxy in English, of course. So I'm doing great, working, having fun, trying to keep that balance going. He says, one little thing I wanted to ask. Your new book, this book is the Is it a new version of This Book is the Milk, or is it a different book? Great question. This is, you have never seen one page of this book yet. Not one example. This is brand spanking new. This is the third one. Right now, it's a trilogy. Who knows? You guys asked for it. And, well, enough time had passed and new shows, new series, because remember, the books, the Milk series is based on English that you know, but you didn't know you knew it. El inglés que no sabías que sabías. So in order to have that, you got to have a lot of series. And every year we got series, movies, characters that are coming out that can help me and obviously Damian teach you English using these visual pop culture references. So it is a completely new book, totally new, but it's along the same lines as this. So it's part of the Milk collection. Let's put it this way. If you like to collect stuff, if you're a collector, you're going to want to get this one, because if you have This Book is the Milk, the one that started it all, then you might have the second one, which is This Book is the Remilk, which was reissued as This Book is the Milk 2. So the second one really is two books, depending on which one you have. And the new one, This Book is the Shit, nobody's got that yet, not even me. So good question, Jay. Brand spanking new, as we say, nuevísimo, de fábrica. Let's see. Chris says, happy birthday, FYI. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for being an FYI-er. There's Laura. She says, my birthday was 2 days ago, so same day as FYI. Wonderful news, Laura. 2 special birthdays. Let's see. Kubla says, FYI, hope all your birthday wishes come true. That's right, German too, FYI, and Lara, happy birthday. Chris, okay, there's Chris participating in our challenge, our pop quiz, which Kyle gave us here. Let's see, Chris. The translation was, no espero que me esperen más de 20 minutos. And Chris says, I don't expect them to wait for me for more than 20 minutes. Does that sound right to you guys? Sounds perfect. Chris, knocking it out of the park. to knock it out of the park is to hit a home run. Petarlo, arrasar. It's a difficult one to say. Arrasar. All right, so Chris, I don't expect them to wait for me for more than 20 minutes. Let's see if anybody else got it. Chris, excellent job. There's Born to Iron Man. He says, I don't expect them to wait for me for more than 20 minutes. Excellent. Guys, I want to give you an additional round of applause because one is for knowing the difference between expect and wait. And another one is using wait for, not saying wait. I've heard a lot of people say, wait me. I told them to wait me. Esperarme. No. And not you guys. You didn't make that mistake. Great job, Chris and Born to Iron Man. Laura, I don't expect them to wait for me for more than 20 minutes. Excellent job. We've also got German. I think you got it as well. We've got Kubla, who's got it. Wow, so many people participating. Anix, let's take a look. Anix says, I don't expect they wait for me. Good, you used the correct verb, but the structure is I don't expect you to. So I expect you to listen to the show every day and take notes. I don't expect you to, I don't know, to do push-ups while you listen to the show. Now, that's all you. I can imagine Born to Iron Man doing push-ups. Flexiones. But I don't expect you to do it. So expect is se espera de ti. And the structure is, I expect you to do this. I don't expect you to do that. Okay, so write it down. Expectations. Piénsalo así. Hay una expectativa. I expect the train to arrive on time because it's never late. Right? You're basing it on some information. To wait for. Esperar de toda la vida. To wait for. Okay? Expect, wait for. And what's the other one? Hope. So here's one that I love. This is in one of the Vaughan translation books. Espero que no esperen que les espere. Oh no. Are you serious? Let's see, superstars. Come on, show with no namers. Show me what you got. Espero que no esperen que les espere. That's the translation. Espero que no esperen que les espere. I want everybody to participate, and Anix, especially you. But that's great. Again, I'm not picking, you guys know me. I'm not picking on Anix, but I like to highlight where there are problematic areas because I guarantee Anix isn't the only one who's made that mistake. The same thing with the wait for. Even though they did it correctly, I still wanted to highlight that a lot of times students omit that from the equation. Let's see. Kubla says, were you on the prairie, La Pradera? No, the local festivals in my town, in mi pueblo, which is not Madrid. It's in Madrid, but it's a town in Madrid. So no, I didn't go to the Vistillas, Little Views, Kubla, toma. I didn't go through the Vistilla. Isn't that the scope of a gun? I didn't go to the little scopes. I get it. I love that literal translation. I've been doing it since I was a kid. Jay Lima says, a new book to add to my personal AA collection is coming. Yeah, I hope you all feel the same. And I'm not just saying this. It really is the shit. It's Kislabo. I'm so proud of it. So is Damian. So is Carmen. She is the person who is a publisher, editor. She was the one who put up with us, que nos aguantó a nosotros. So a nice round of applause for Carmen Vallejo for putting up with Damian and I. All right. Laura says, I hope they don't expect me to wait for them. Laura, you take the cake. You take the cake. You know the expression. I'm talking about the birthday cake today, but you take the cake is te llevas la palma. All right, guys, I hope you're having fun playing and enjoying the English language. We've got to take a quick commercial break. The good news, we'll be right back with tons more Show with No Name. We've got tons of challenges up ahead. We've got Say What, spelling bee, movies, music, and so much more. So, if I were you guys, I wouldn't even think of going anywhere. Stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back to the show with no name on Vaughn Radio. So much to do. That's right. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back, amigos. Just a quick reminder before we get started. If you're looking for summer camps, residentials, weekend classes for the kids, whatever you might be looking for, even online courses, we've got you covered. Just go on over to our website. It's grupovon.com. Also, if you're following us on social media, then you will be in the know. Tengo que pensar esta. Enterrado no. Enterado. Yeah, es que me lío ahí. You won't be buried. You'll be in the know. Un conocido. No, un conocido es... ¿Cómo se lía esto, eh? Un conocido es an acquaintance. Alguien con conocimiento. Sí, un conocido. Soy un connoisseur. Nosotros a veces usamos la palabra francesa también. We use the French word. He's a connoisseur. A connoisseur. You got to put a little French pronunciation into it, my amigos. All right, well, welcome back. Welcome back to the second part of today's show. I can't believe how fast we flew through the first part, but let's get right back into things. Let's put the pedal to the metal with today's Say What? Say what? What? Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on. Yeah, it's the Say What soundbite on the show with no name. And the voices aren't the same. It'll drive you insane. Like Phil Collins, I wish it would rain. All right, I'll stop. Hey, you aren't the only ones having fun here. The whole idea is that we should all be enjoying the class, the teacher and the students alike. Welcome back, folks, to our Say What soundbite here. I think this one will be pretty easy, to be honest. I mean, we've had some challenging ones, but I think this one is definitely going to be on the easy side. I could be wrong. We'll know as soon as people start participating. So I urge you all to participate in today's Say What soundbite. As always, right now, you're going to hear it twice. And then we'll hear it a third and a fourth time, respectively, in the third and fourth parts of the show. And hopefully you guys will be able to get down word for word what the person is saying. And right now, I just want you to sum it up in your own words. Only I want you to use your best English. Here we go.
Oh God, he was like 5'4", 5'5", little scrawny. He was poor, kind of like a bum. Really, he had a string for a belt. He tied his pants with a string because he couldn't afford a belt.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I think it's pretty easy to understand. I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see in just a moment when we see how many people participate. All right. Let's see. I'll give you a second just to let that soak in. Asimilarlo, to let it soak in or to let it sink in. And is everybody ready? All right. This is the second listen of today's Say What soundbite.
Oh God, he was like 5'4", 5'5", little scrawny. He was poor, kind of like a bum. Really, he had a string for a belt. He tied his pants with a string because he couldn't afford a belt.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. He's obviously describing somebody, right? Which is cool. You know, that can give us, that's one, like if you wanted to participate and you didn't want to get into too much detail, you could be like, somebody is describing somebody else, you know? So let's see. We've got some comments over here. Laura says, by the way, Lara's voice is the sweetest. Well, the thing is, Laura, she's actually like such a sweet person. There's a girl at her school that everybody teases or they don't play with her as much because she's different. And the other day, somebody said to my daughter, oh, she's different. Not my daughter, the other girl. And my daughter said, and I'm going to change the name. No, she's not different. She's Carmen. So just to show you what a great person. I mean, what a kind, loving person that Lara is. And man, I see it and it almost brings tears to my eyes. Right now I'm getting choked up to see what a good human being she is. And we're doing our best here. We're doing our best. You know, you never know. Then I'm sure Charles Manson's parents said, you know, this great kid. I don't know. I don't know. You know, really, really caring, really compassionate kid. Really empathetic. No, seriously. She really is. She's all heart. She's all heart. And so that sweetness is in her voice is the sweetness that's coming from her little big heart, her soul. So she really is a tremendous person. And, you know, is it possible to love somebody more every day, to fall in love with them more every day and you know, who they are? Yeah, it is. I can tell you that as a proud daddy. All right, I'm going to stop because my eyes just teared up. See, I'm an emotional guy. I can't watch the Moana song, with the wind in my sails and behind me. No one knows how far it goes. I cry like a baby. And let's not even talk about Let It Go, please. All right, let's see. Some comments over here. Kubla says, if Eminem ever logs in, he'll hire you as a natural-born rhymer. Well, I will. You know, Eminem has got some #1 songs, but I have a #1 song, too. It was #1 on Maxima FM, a dance song. Many of you guys know it. If you don't, check it out. Just Google Wanna Dance DJ Valdi. And I was the lyricist. I wrote the lyrics and then I rapped them, what I call the pit bowl part. And then the song went to #1. If you haven't heard it, it's Wanna Dance. Just search for Wanna Dance DJ Valdi. And while you guys are participating, let's move right into our spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling Bee. That's right, folks. Before we kick off our spelling bee, I'll give you guys just a moment. If anybody wants to participate in our Say What soundbite, well, we're going to check it out right now. Let's see. Kubla says it sounded like an American man telling an audience what a short, humble, shaggy clothed guy looks like. All right. Yeah, definitely. Describing somebody. Really good ear there. Kubla. Great ear. Has pillado mucho. Let's see. Laura. Laura says, good for Lara. What a great answer from a little girl. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Kubla says, are you getting choked up? Yeah, I think I just said it, right? I'm not hiding it. Didn't I just say it? Or maybe not. I mean, you can just look at me if you're watching it. And when I talk about my daughter, I cry me a river, which we usually use cry me a river like, no me vengas con llantos, cry me a river. Or, when you don't feel sorry for somebody. It's a great song, by the way. Cry me, cry me, cry me a river. Let's see, Laura. It's gonna rain. Sorry about that. Laura says, I heard an American man describing someone, saying how tall this person is and also how poor. Excellent job, Laura. Chris Valrol says, I heard a man. I would say he's American. He sounds surprised, so to speak. Ooh, como quien dice. So to speak, o como mi madre dice, soda, refresco, so to speak. Eso es como lo decimos en mi país. De hecho, yo de pequeño pensaba que estaba diciendo soda. Y yo ya dije, Mom, why do you keep talking about soda? And then there's no soda. She goes, it's so to speak, so to speak. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought you were saying soda. Hablar de refrescos. So great one to know, Chris. He is saying something that has to do with a belt and a pair of tinny pants. Careful, not tinny, because tin is aluminio. These are tiny, una N, but great word, tiny. Just piensa, la palabra es más pequeña de lo que piensas. Diminuto, tiny. A tiny, and a pair of tiny pants. Or maybe I'm totally wrong. Well, Chris, I think you are pretty spot on, just like the rest of your classmates. Wonderful job. Excellent job, guys. Really, really well done. And now it's time for our spelling bee. Now, I hope we don't get censored. I don't know why we've been getting censored. We're not allowed to practice spelling. Oh, man. All right, this is round one. The first word is Quarter. The second word is Dime. The third word is Penny. The fourth word is Nickel. The fifth word is Cheddar. And the sixth word is Benjamins. All right. That was fast, but I was able to get through it without taking too many breaths. Let's see if anybody got those on the first go. Lady, unbelievable. Dude, I didn't even exhale. I can't believe it. And they look right to me. Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, our spelling bee champion of the world, born to Iron Man. What? Seriously, how you got it that fast just blows my mind. Yeah, totally mind blown over here. There's Kubla right on his heels. Excellent job, fellas. Wonderful, wonderful job. Wow, that was fast. Now, I have to, in defense of those who didn't get it, these are shorter words too here, right? So sometimes I tell you like words that are like the never-ending word. And today they're pretty short, but I went fast. All right. Well, this is the round for everybody. This is the round that I would need, because if you go too fast, I get overwhelmed and then I miss all the words. All right. So this is round 2. The first word is Quarter. The second word is Dime. This is fair. Okay, this is when I tell you this is where somebody who wants you, one of these helpful customer service representatives, that's this person. So the second one again, Dime. The third one is Penny. The fourth one is Nickel. The fifth one is Cheddar. And the sixth one is Benjamins. All right, those are your 6 words. If you haven't figured it out, they all have to do with money. And I always tell people, this is something you want to know about. I mean, at least know if you're going to open a bank account in another country. I mean, let's be honest. Do you read and understand all the fine print when you get your mortgage and all that stuff in Spanish? Well, just imagine that in English. I don't understand it. I have to, okay, so this word means, they make it like that on purpose. But when it comes to money, you don't want to play games here. And just the fact that the comma is the decimal point, that right there is a big, big difference when we're talking about cash, when we're talking about cold, hard cash, como lo llaman, efectivo. And if you haven't heard it, we've got an FYI episode on money where we not only look at money and some of the history behind it, but we also look at how to talk about it, the different common mistakes. And well, here's a little teaser. If you haven't heard the episode, you can search for it. FYI for your English money.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
It's been called everything from dirty to downright essential. While we wish we could live without it, we need it in order to get by. This powerful paper has put a spell on us. It has put us in our place and clearly captivated us. We'll dig deep into dollars and cents as we make sense of money on today's FYI. Welcome to For Your Info.
Inglés.
You got it. All right, folks. So check it out. It's an episode that I did a while back on money. Last week, you had diamonds are forever. They are all I need to please me. They can stimulate and tease me. Have no fear in the night. When they're in, they might desert me. Do. Diamonds are forever. So you got diamonds last week. This week, we're going to look at mountains. And remember, you have a plethora of FYI episodes. And I just released the comedy episode, the bonus one. So that's another reason to follow the podcast, because you're always going to be getting bonus episodes. Okay. If you're patient, if you're in my community, you get them automatically. But if you're patient, well, good things come to those who wait. But you got to be really patient, because some of them, as I look at the date that I published it and the date that I released it, sometimes it's a year later. So you got to be really, really patient. But let's take a look at some expressions that have to do with money. Well, first, let's look at the words that I chose. The first word is quarter. Quarter. This is 25 cents. It's also when you talk about a quarter of the population, igual, un cuarto, right? A quarter. Now, in the United States, if somebody says, you got a quarter, they're talking about either a quarter or a quarter ounce. And then I don't know if they're talking about, you don't know what they could be talking about, but normally a quarter is 25 cents. Just be careful you don't say fence. I've heard people mispronounce that word there. The next one is dime. Well, dime in español, dime, dime. That's 10 cents, right? When I was younger, we used to say if a girl was a dime, she was a 10, un diez, a dime. We've got an expression too that is a dime a dozen. Do you know this one? When something is a dime a dozen, que te cuesta 10 céntimos por una docena. O sea, no cuesta ni un céntimo por uno. What does that mean? Es muy común, no es nada especial. Diamonds are not a dime a dozen, right? Diamonds are sought after, codiciado, buscado. A dime a dozen means lo encuentras en cualquier sitio, man. A dime a dozen. Then you've got penny. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my head. Penny, a penny for your thoughts. You know this expression? A penny for your thoughts means cuéntame lo que estás pensando. Un céntimo para tus pensamientos. A penny for your thoughts, which is different than spending a penny. If you're going to spend a penny, it means you're going to go to the bathroom. If you spent a pretty penny, you spent a lot of money. So those are three different expressions. And we didn't even talk about only boys that save their pennies make my rainy days. Oh, 'cause we are living in a material world, and I am a material girl. And she's talking about the idiomatic expression to save your pennies for a rainy day. Guardar el dinero, ahorrar, you say. Para un día lo vas a necesitar. For a rainy day. No significa literalmente que vaya a llover. So penny, lots of expressions. Oh, and a penny pincher. We all know somebody who's a penny pincher. They refuse to spend a dime, right? And a penny pincher, somebody who's frugal, right? Frugal is the word. Penny pincher. I love that one. Pellizca. Centimos. And penny's a name. I'm sure you all know it from, what is it called? Big Bang Theory. Penny, right? Then we've got nickel, which is the type of metal as well. Nickel, which is 5 cents. And we've got a kind of store. You say todo a 100, todo a 20 duros. Ours is a nickel and dime shop, or actually a 5 and dime. Right? Nickel and dime, más común 5 and dime. Because as I said it, to nickel and dime someone es una expresión también. So the 5 and dime es la tienda donde todo a 100. Don't nickel and dime me. No me vengas contando céntimos ahora. Right? Después de todo esto. Are you nickel and diming me after all these years being friends? Right? To nickel and dime someone. These are expressions. Some of them you'll hear in the episode. Some of them are just here on the show with no name. But either way, you're going to learn about money, and we could all use a little lesson on money. Now, I don't teach you how to invest or anything like that, but I do teach you how to speak about money and at least the basics, right? The bare bones. The next one, cheddar. What? Cheddar? But when did we start talking about cheese here? What's going on with the cheese here? This is starting to get a little bit cheesy. Cursi, right? Like my jokes that are very cheesy. Well, cheddar is a way of saying money. In the United States, cheddar means money. So we say bucks too, bucks, pavos, so 20 bucks. I didn't put that one in there. Cheddar. And it derives from, I didn't even know this. I thought it was like hip hop language that became very, very popular. But this meaning of money comes from an association with cheese, probably from Persia. So cheese, like many things, was a form of currency. Divisa, dinero, currency. Cuando vas al aeropuerto, it says the currency exchange, right? The exchange rate, the currency is la moneda, right? Not the coin or the bill, but the whole idea behind it is the currency. So the cheddar, we say, hey, man, he's got a lot of cheddar. That doesn't mean that the person is a cheese farmer, a dairy farmer, de lácteos. That means he's got a lot of money, right? The same way we call dough. You'll hear about that one in our pizza episode, in our bread episode, and our money episode. So look at that. We'll look at dough being the concept behind pasta, dinero también. And then the last one, any P. Diddy fans in the house? P. Diddy, Puff Daddy. I don't know. He changes his name every week. Anyone? Well, he's got a song that's called It's All About the Benjamins, Baby. Benjamins are $100 bills. And another way to say money, bills, billetes, are dead presidents. Think about it. Presidentes muertos, billetes. So dead presidents. And Benjamin Franklin is the one on the $100 bill. El billete de 100. So a lot of times people say, hey, man, you got a lot of Benjamins. They're talking about Benjamin Franklin. They're talking about $100 bills. So, folks, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many idiomatic expressions that come from money. Another one just off the top of my head is time is money. El tiempo es oro. Time is money. But, folks, speaking of time being money, we've got to go to a quick commercial break. Oh, and I didn't even tell you the reason I chose this topic today. It was because today, in 1866, the U.S. Congress, el Congreso de Estados Unidos, established the nickel, 5 céntimos, la moneda de 5 céntimos, the nickel. And what are nickels made of? Well, traditionally, nickels. And pennies? Copper, like the Statue of Liberty. Pero qué? Pennies are copper? Yeah, but what happens to copper when it rusts, cuando se oxida? Well, just take a look at an old penny, and you'll see it's the same color as the Statue of Liberty. I know, mind blown. We'll be right back, folks, so stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back to the show with no name on Vaughn Radio. Oh, yeah. So much to do here in the second half of today's show. I can't believe it. Who would have thunk it? Como vimos antes. 1 hour would fly by so quick. Well, 26 minutes and 26 minutes. Do the math. I say an hour. But remember, our ads, nuestros anuncios, we're not promoting other brands. We're promoting our brands, and that's how we keep the radio going. So if you love Vaughn Radio, remember from time to time, pick up a material over at our Vaughn Tienda or sign up for a class. You won't be disappointed. I can tell you that. Vaughn. You can go to our website, grupovaughn.com. Our bookshop is vaughntienda.com. But if you can make it to the book fair, well, then you can pick it up there. I'll hand it to you myself. I'll give you my dates again. I'll be there with my buddy Damian Moya, Saturday, May 27th, Saturday, June 3rd, and Sunday, June 11th. All of those from 11 to 2 p.m. 11 to 2 p.m. It's stand 312. 312. How exciting. We'll all be there. Richard, David, Kyle, Ximena, Tosh, Guy, Jules. It's going to be more like a party. And a lot of my students who don't live in Madrid are going to be joining us too. So I am really, really excited to see all of you. It is time for the book fair again, which is also the official kickoff of the summertime. Folks, it's time for Homophones on the Show with No Name. Homophones on the Show with No Name. It's homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the Show with No Name. The Show with No Name. Homophones on the Show with No Name. Cause homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the Show with No Name. The Show with No Name. The Show with Homophones. That's right, amigos. It's homophones only on the Show with No Name. All right, let's take a look at the two words that I've chosen for you today. And the first word is, I want to make sure, I know it in Spanish, but you know how you want to double check sometimes? Revisarlo de nuevo. To check es revisar. To double check es mirarlo de nuevo. So it's aturdimiento. It's confusion. It's also aturdir, to stun somebody, to shock somebody. It's also deslumbrar. Okay? So that is the word, but I want it in the third person. So él deslumbró o dejó aturdido. No, él aturde a la gente con quien habla, for example. Okay? Pero lo quiero en tercera persona. Presente, so con ese. Okay, so the verb is confusión, the noun is confusión, aturdimiento. The verb is aturdir. Okay, a alguien. Pero lo quiero en tercera persona. All right, and the second word is días. That's it. Días. Un día, dos días. So if I said, él aturdió a los alumnos durante 3 días. No, él aturde, que tiene que ser tercera persona singular. ¿Ok? Él aturde a sus alumnos durante días. There you go. Would the word aturde, él aturde, and días sound the same? And obviously, what are those words? And we've got to listen to our Say What soundbite. But folks, a nice round of applause for Kubla. Awesome job, Kubla. You nailed it. And I'm about to give it to everybody for the third time. So if you guys haven't gotten it yet, this is your third shot.
Oh, God, he was like 5'4", 5'5", little scrawny. He was poor, kind of like a bum, really. He had a string for a belt. He tied his pants with a string because he couldn't afford a belt.
All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. That's the third listen. Great job, Kubla. I'm sure a few other people, maybe Laura, maybe a couple other people, maybe Chris might be able to get it if I know you well, or as well as I think I know you. All right, let's take a look at our homophones over here. I gave you the third person of the verb aturdir, to stun, we said. And in fact, police in the United States carry stun guns. And they stun you, te dejan, right, cao, without killing you, right? A stun gun. S-T-U-N. Let's see. The first one to participate is Born to Iron Man. And he says the two words, and you've said them, you've written them correctly, Born to Iron Man, so great job. And he says they sound alike. All right. Let's see what your fellow classmates say. Kubla says the words, and those are the correct words, Kubla. And he says they don't sound the same. Oh, ho, ho. This is getting interesting here. This is Clash of the Titans, de los Titanes. Let's see. Chris says these words are not homophones. Well, Chris, those are the right words. So you're, the good thing is all of you know the words. The question is, do they sound the same or not? Well, I'm going to say both of these words. So the first word, dazes. dazes. He dazes his students when he goes into those speeches, right? Daze. We also say to be in a daze, right? To be in a daze. Estar en las nubes. It's Monday morning. I'm in a daze. But the third person, it's dazes. Okay, dazes. That's the first word. The second word, días, 1 day, 2 days. So do they sound the same? Dazes, days. No, they do not. And you know what? I made a mistake, but I went with it. I just rolled with it. I went with it. I made a mistake. I meant to give it to you in first person. So days, because days and days, o sea, quitando la S, sí que son homófonos. So that was a tough one, because I made a mistake, but I said, all right, well, since I said it, let's just go with that one. No, me quedo con esa. Because if I had said it without the S, then they do sound the same. He's been in a daze for days. I told him to get off those painkillers, que deje de tomar esos analgésicos, painkillers. So awesome stuff. Oh, and there's Laura explaining it. Even Laura was explaining it before I said it. She says, I think dazes and days don't sound alike, but days and days do. Yep. So it's a good one to know, right? If you know how to pronounce days, then you know that one. And a lot of times it's used with dazed and confused, right? Como frase hecha. It's a very popular Led Zeppelin song. If you haven't heard it, it's an excellent song. I've been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. If you have not heard that song, trust me, it's amazing. And there's also a movie, you call it Aquellos Años de los 70 or something like that, Juerga de los 70. And there's a great movie by Richard Linklater, the one who did Boyhood, and it's called Dazed and Confused. And that's a really good movie, and the soundtrack is awesome as well. And speaking of movies, I think it's time for today's Name That Movie. Name That Movie. That's right, amigos. It's Name That Movie only on the show with no name. And as always, this is a part of the show where I have you guys participate. As always, I want you to be proactive on your English journey, en tu cruzada de inglés, your quest, right? Oh, and Chris, dazed and confused, movida del 76, chaval. I'm sorry. No me sale decirlo. Movida, vaya movida, tronco. I'm sorry. I have a friend that we call Enrique Movidas because for him, he's very madrileño. And he's like, esta movida, tío, es una movida que la otra movida. I'm like, you just put that word in for everything, don't you? Movida. This is a movida. Pásame la movida esa porque estamos con la movida del otro. Vaya movida. And I'm like, dude, you must have loved La Movida Madrileña. You must have really loved that, huh? So, Dazed and Confused, Movida del 76. It's about high school in the 70s in the States, in 76, obviously. The title tells us that in Spanish. The soundtrack is excellent. It's classic rock. And I don't think, interestingly enough, I could be wrong, the song Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin is not on the soundtrack, but there are a lot of other great songs. Let's see. German says, I don't really like florists. They usually daze daisies for days. How dare they? See, I'm not the only one making corny jokes around here. I love it. Nice job, German. Yeah, but just be careful. Daisies doesn't sound the same as dazes. So he dazes daisies, margaritas, y no la bebida, la flor. All right. Well, that's the idea, to play with words, amigos, to enjoy words so they aren't your foe. They are your friend, right? Another way of saying enemy, y suena mejor, porque ambos son con F, friend or foe. Es la forma más poética de decir esto. All right, let's take a look at today's Name That Movie. Here we go. Let me get into my role here. After a bitter divorce, an actor disguises himself as a female housekeeper to spend time with his children, held in custody by his former wife. Whoa. Sounds like he really wants to be with his children. Makes sense, right? But that he would go to such great lengths. Sounds very familiar, right? After a bitter divorce, amargo, you know it from bitter cas, un divorcio. Cuidado, not divorce, divorce. After a bitter divorce, an actor disguises himself, se viste de, ¿no? Se oculta. An actor disguises himself, se disfraza, that's the word, disguises himself as a female housekeeper, okay? Una persona que limpia la casa, en este caso hembra, a female housekeeper, to spend time with his children, held in custody by his former wife. And the word former is good to know. Former president, anterior. If you didn't know it, write it down because it's used pretty often. Former. And ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chris Valrol, followed by Kubla, followed by Kubla. So the movie is Mrs. Doubtfire. Who doesn't love this movie? Mrs. Doubtfire. I doubt there's anybody here who hates this movie. I doubt. Okay. La B no se pronuncia. No es Doubtfire. And when Robin Williams, oh man, what a great actor, great comedian. When Robin Williams decided to test it out, the believability, no, si era creíble, he went out there in full costume and he said, if people know who I am, I'm not doing it. We gotta do it better, right? We gotta fix this. We gotta make it so nobody will recognize me as Robin Williams or anybody else. So he went down there. He went to the bookstore. He went to a lot of places and he was not recognized by anyone. And that's when he said to the director, Chris Columbus, not Christopher Columbus, eso es Cristóbal Colón, Chris Columbus, and he said, all right, it's believable. Let's do this. Let's do this. And Chris Columbus used 2 or 3 cameras when he was filming Robin Williams. Why? Because he knew who he had in front of him. He said, and I don't want to miss a thing. He said Aerosmith there. No quiero perderme ni un gesto, not even one gesture that this guy makes. And he would make him do his takes and read the script, know his lines, but then he would give him 2 takes to improvise because he knew, he said, okay, let's just do the script. So for the sake of editing and putting the story together, we're going to shoot it as it's written, but then take 2 and take 3, do whatever you want. And of course, most of the takes that made it into the movie were take 2 and take 3. And that's smart. Christopher Columbus, not Christopher, le llamaba yo Cristóbal Colón. Chris Columbus, the director, he was smart enough to realize that he had a genius in front of him. And you don't limit a genius with a script. Okay, let him, the genius should know the script so they know where their character fits in. You got to have the context. Because if you're playing, I'm an angry housekeeper. Well, that's not the story. So you have to be true to the story, but you also have to, make the character original and your own. And that's what you're always, that fight between improvising and saying, but if you know your character very well and you know the circumstances very well, it becomes a lot easier to improvise in those given circumstances. And Chris Columbus knew that. And he said, go nuts, Robin. Go nuts. Haz loco, haz lo que quieras. And let's take a look at the scene that we've chosen. The movie came out in 1993, and it's still funny. Let's be honest. Sigue siendo graciosísimo. Mrs. Doubtfire. And the late, great Robin Williams. I mean, everybody knew he was a good comic actor. But can we talk about what an amazing serious actor he was? Have you guys seen Awakenings, Despertares? He's incredible. Not to mention Goodwill Hunting, El Indomable, right? This one. So he's just a tremendous, serious actor. And you would think, I mean, wow, this guy's so wacky, so off the wall, tan loco, tan chiflado. But then he can be so serious and grounded in his characters. Really, really a force to be reckoned with. Una bestia de la naturaleza. A force to be reckoned with. The late, great Robin Williams. Not to be confused with, I'm loving angels instead. And through it all, she offers me protection. A lot of love and affection. Whether I'm right or wrong. Not Robbie, Robin. Petirrojo, I think is what you call it. It's the name of a bird. Rockin' Robin, tweet, 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 Rockin' Robin. There's a song from back in the day. So Miranda says, and she's referring to Stu, she says, isn't he fabulous? Now, ojo, I like the name Stuart. I think it's a cool name. I don't like the abbreviation. Why? Yo no quiero que nadie me llame guiso o guisado o guisar. Well, that's what stew means, S-T-E-W. So again, got to think about that stuff. You know, Richard, the nickname for Richard sometimes is Rich, Richie, or Dick. And I don't have to tell you what that means. So you got to be careful with these. You know, stew. All right. Well, you calling me like beef stew? You know, guisado de carne, guiso de carne. And she says, isn't he fabulous? No es fabuloso. Isn't he fabulous? And Mrs. Doubtfire says, well, if you like that handsome, rugged type, handsome is guapo, and rugged is duro, como montañero, you know, like rugged, fuerte, robusto, you know, duro, accidentado, rugged. Es R-U-G-G-E-D, pero no es rugged, es rugged. Se pronuncia esa E, ¿ok? Muchas veces no se pronuncia, por eso te lo digo. No en esta palabra, en otros casos. So if you like that handsome, rugged type, but personally, I prefer short, furry, and funny. He's describing himself. Well, she, Mrs. Doubtfire, is describing Robin Williams, his character. She says, but personally, I prefer short, bajito, furry, peludo, and funny, gracioso. And Miranda says, he just wants to go out and have a drink. I think he's pretty harmless. Nocivo, I think is the word you say. Innocuous, right? Something or somebody that is harmless no te puede hacer daño. No te va a hacer daño, right? It's harmless, okay? Which is the opposite of harmful, right? Dañino would be the opposite. It's always good to look at opposites whenever you can. It's a good way to make sure, sé decir nocivo. Okay, pues sé decir dañino. Yeah, because it's so easy. It's a matter of saying, I know harm es daño. Well, harmful es que causa daño. Harmless que no causa daño. Y a veces lo decimos de una persona que tiene buenas intenciones. He's harmless, no? I think that's pretty harmless. Don't you? Question tag. And Mrs. Doubtfire says, absolutely not, dear, cariño, because they always have other intentions, or as we say, ulterior motives. An ulterior motive is you say you want something, but you really have other intentions, ulterior motives, right? And then Miranda says, this is business mostly. Esto es asuntos de negocio, ¿no? Por lo general. I'll just sit there and sip club soda. Now, club soda es agua con gas o, ¿sabes? Esto que no tiene sabor, pero tiene burbujas. So I'll just sit there and sip club soda, and we'll go over wallpaper samples. Wallpaper, papel pintado. Miramos muestras de papel pintado. So she's saying, again, it's innocent. There's nothing serious going on. And Mrs. Doubtfire says, dear Miranda, wake up and smell the coffee. De ahí aprendemos espabila, okay? Wake up and smell the coffee. And you learn that in the coffee episode of FYI if you haven't listened to it. Wake up and smell the coffee. Can't you see the lust? Pasión. No es tanto amor que pasión, lust. Can't you see the lust in that man's eyes? It's too soon, dear. Really. It's too soon es no ha pasado tiempo suficiente. A veces lo decimos con chistes. Is it too soon to tell this joke? Porque pasó una tragedia hace poco. Is it too soon? Right? So, wake up and smile. Can't you see the lust in that man's eyes? It's too soon, dear, really. You've got to give your divorce some time, dear. Let your sheets cool down, que se enfrían un poco las sábanas. Let your sheets cool down before you bring someone else into the bed, all right? And Miranda says, Mrs. Doubtfire, may I ask you a question? And she says, oh, certainly, dear. How long have after Mr. Doubtfire passed away, cuánto tiempo después de que falleciera Mr. Doubtfire, did you feel any desire? And I think passion, desire, sexual desire. And Mrs. Doubtfire says, never, never. And Miranda says, never. And Mrs. Doubtfire said, never again. And Miranda says, never again. And Mrs. Doubtfire answers, once the father of your children is out of the picture. No, out of the picture means ya no está en plano, no está en escenario. Once the father of your children is out of the picture, the only solution is total and lifelong celibacy. He's trying to convince her to be celibate. To be celibate is to not have sex. Like, you know, what the nuns or the priests, they take a vow, a promise, right? You think promesa, a vow of celibacy. And Miranda says, celibacy? She's in shock that this woman is giving her this advice. And Mrs. Doubtfire says, yes. And if you violate that, heaven forgive you. Que Dios te perdona, que el cielo te perdone. Good luck. So very, very funny movie. I see we've got a couple comments coming in here before our next commercial break. Chris Valrol says, Awakenings, Dead Poets Society. Oh, of course. How can I forget? Patch Adams, Good Morning Vietnam. I mean, yeah, the list is endless. What an amazing talent. Let's see. Kubla says, harmless, inofensivo. Yeah, I think I just made a mistake, guys, because Laura says, too, nocivo is harmful, and harmless is inocuo, inofensivo. Ah, okay. I knew. Thank you very much. By the way, that's another thing. My Spanish isn't perfect. A lot of times I just go on memory. I look things up a lot, but a lot of times I like to see if I remember it. And this time I got it the other way around. Lo pillé, pero al revés. So you guys know it. At least in English, it makes sense, right? Full, aunque no es full lleno, porque la terminación es F-U-L, no F-U-L-L. But you know, lleno de, daño, harmful. And harmless, well, that's the show with no name. It's harmless. In fact, it can even be beneficial to your health. Well, at least to your English learning. Folks, you know what that music means? We are off to a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back with the fourth and final part of today's show with no name. Stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back to this. I can't believe it here. But this is the fourth and final part of today's show, the good news. Right after today's show, you've got Ximena Holiday with Test Your English. After that, you've got the lunchtime show with Rob and Andy and their antics. Sus payasadas. You want to eavesdrop, escuchar y participar in a native conversation? That's Rob and Andy and the lunchtime show. After that, you can go back to basics with Tosh Pasqua, one of our best teachers, and she'll be at the book fair as well. Tosh Pasqua will be there June 11th from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Again, we're going to be at Vaughn's stand. Jot it down. It's stand 312. And I'll be there Saturday, May 27th, Saturday, June 3rd, Sunday, June 11th. And all of those times are 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You've got a 4-hour window. Decimos lo mismo, una ventana. A 4-hour window to come see Damian Moya and yours truly, un servidor, with our new book. If you've got our other books, great, we'll sign them. If not, you can pick them all up and have the whole collection signed by us with selfies and all that jazz. Y todo eso. I hope to see you there, folks. All right, let's get right back into it with today's Double Trouble. Double trouble, baby. Yeah, you know what time it is. Give it up. Double trouble. I said double trouble. Double trouble. I said double trouble. That's right, amigos. It's Double Trouble only on the show with no name. And here we go. This is today's Double Trouble. This is one of those where I was watching something with my wife. We normally watch documentaries or something that we can watch in, an hour. And because, work, parenting, all of that stuff. So we don't really watch series as much as we'd like to. But also our daughter's at an age where she needs us. She would rather read books. And if she's ready to read books in English, I'll be damned if I'm going to be watching a series when she's begging me to read. Now, of course, that also comes from her mother and I every day. You want to read? Go get her. I want to watch cartoons. Okay, we can watch cartoons later. Do you want to read a book now? I love reading. I love to read. Yeah, that's my favorite book. So you have to you can't just tell your children, you have to love reading, and then they don't see you love it. Right. So you have to show them, you have to lead by example. And I've learned that so much here as a, what's the word I'm looking for? As a parent, as an educator as well. All right. Well, let's take a look. Here's your double trouble. No vi venir esta ganga. No me lo esperaba. We were looking at no espero que me esperen que les espere before. So no vi venir esta ganga. No me lo esperaba. No vi venir, no me esperaba esta ganga. That's it. Este chollo would be another way to say it as well. Let's see some comments over here from our students. Leonardo says, I thought that Robin Williams was the most balanced and happy person in the world. The end of his life left me devastated. Many of his various characters in his film left a deep impression on me. Well, that just goes to show you. I mean, for me, it was a huge lesson thinking everybody's happy because they look happy. You don't know somebody's struggles. You don't know what's going on in somebody's day. That's why it always pays. Y ahora no hablo de dinero, antes estábamos hablando de dinero. It always pays to treat people nice, to treat people with respect. Because maybe they're being rude, but maybe it has nothing to do with you. Maybe they just got some terrible news that rocked them, They're just in a daze para ver lo que vimos antes. So, it shows that, it's not like, oh, he's mentally ill, he's depressed. It's not that easy to spot. And a lot of us don't even know when we're struggling with it. And I include myself. If you want, there's an FYI episode on mental health with my mother, who's a mental health professional. She's been working in the industry since I can remember, all of my life at least. And she's a social worker. And we talked about some of the issues dealing with mental health, the stigma, which I think is hopefully disappearing. Somebody's not crazy. They just have an imbalance or they need help. Like everybody. On a Monday, who's got that same energy that you got on a Friday? Well, if that happens too much and too many days in a row, you might be depressed, right? So these are things to look into. And it always helps to have somebody to talk to, right? And usually your friends, they try and convince you one way or the other. That's why people like to go to a shrink or a psychiatrist, because this person is just going to listen and say, well, based on what you told me. I mean, I don't know your mom. I don't know your dad. I don't know your situation. I'm just basing it on what you told me. So that's an interesting perspective as well. All right. So great episode. And my mother, I think everybody agreed there, is just a wonderful comedian. A comedian, no. I'm thinking of Robin Williams. Well, she is. She's actually a good comedian. She could have been a comedian, but she's a wonderful communicator is what I meant to say. If you haven't heard it, just search for Your Inglés, FYI, mental health with Linda Alonso. Let's see. Kubla says, I watched Petirrojo Guillermo's stand-up, Robin Williams stand-up on YouTube. To me, he sounded and looked slightly deranged. Oh, yeah, that was his shtick. I don't know how you say that. Shtick. That's what he did. He was manic. He was known for jumping on sofas. That was what he did. Yeah. Now, also, I don't know him very well, but I know at that time in show business, there was a lot of powder. And I'm not talking about talcum powder. So I can imagine, I know Eddie Murphy, one of my favorite comedians. They say before he did Eddie Murphy Raw, which is one of his most famous stand-up routines, which is absolutely manic. They said he downed a couple lines of that mysterious powder. So, yeah, you mix that in, you got depression, you mix in drug abuse, not sleeping right, not taking care of yourself. You're burning the candle at both ends is the expression, right? Estás desgastándote por todos lados, right? Piénsalo, una vela, ¿dónde lo vas a coger si quemas ambos lados? So Chris says, I see eye to eye. Chris, you are... I see eye to eye, Leo. When I found out that he had died, I was devastated too. I think the whole world was, because Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, you're like, wow, he was depressed. Yeah, it was obvious. Just listen to his music, right? Black hole sun. Like, if that's not depression, I don't know what is, right? Just look at the videos, the aesthetic. That's depression, clear. And he used his music as a channel to get rid of it, to blow off steam. And I imagine Robin Williams did the same thing. But again, it's a constant battle if you have those demons inside. So I think the whole world was like, what? The funniest guy in the world? And like that? No way. Oh my God. He made me happy, but the world couldn't make him happy. It's tragic. It's what it is. Let's see. Laura says, you're doing a great job, Double A. Kubla says, your Spanish is much better than our English. No. But I do work hard on it. And I mean, who do you think prepares the PDF documents with over 500 words or 400 words a week for each of the FYI episodes? You're looking at them. So I naturally learn a lot of Spanish by preparing content for you guys in English. It's a win-win. Let's see. German says, I have a question. Was Mr. Doubtfire really a firebug with a split personality? I don't know. I think maybe you're making a joke there, but it went over my head. Sorry, German. I didn't catch that one. Kubla says, do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, that's the slogan, the motto of a hypocrite. Do as I say, not as I do. That never works. At least in my experience, it didn't work. Okay, let's see. Leonardo says in today's Double Trouble, no vi venir a esta ganga. No me lo esperaba. He says, didn't bargain for this bargain coming. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm missing a subject, though. But, yeah. That works. That works. Let's see if anybody else got it perfectly there. But, yeah, you got to put, I didn't bargain for this. No me lo esperaba. I didn't bargain. So, ponnos el sujeto ahí. Germán, I hadn't bargained for this bargain. Muy bien, lo ha puesto el pasado condicional. That works. No, right? En el pasado, tú estás haciendo referencia a un momento del pasado. I hadn't bargained for this bargain. Si es en el momento, I didn't bargain for this bargain. Now, a bargain como chollo is also a deal or a steal. Me encanta esto. Steal en español es robar, pero no es un robo. If something's a steal, está tirado de precio. It's a confusing one. Be careful. So great, Germán, as well. I hadn't bargained for this bargain. Kubla, I didn't bargain for this bargain. Laura, I didn't bargain on this bargain. There's another way, too, to bargain on, but I think this one sounds more natural to me with bargain for. This is more than I bargained for. Es más de lo que me esperaba, right? So very cool. Excellent job to all of you. Wow. Also, before I forget, I've got to give you the Say What soundbite for the fourth and final time. And we'll take a look at this in just a little bit and see who it is and what's being said and all that context.
Oh, God, he was like 5'4", 5'5", little scrawny. He was poor, kind of like a bum, really. He had a string for a belt. He tied his pants with a string because he couldn't afford a belt.
All right, there you go, folks. And now it's time for You're Joking.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, what did the guy say when he walked into the bar? Ouch. Ouch. You get it? Ouch. He walked into the bar. You're joking.
All right, guys, could you do me a favor? Could you close the door behind you, or could you slam the door behind you? Slam. Well, what does that sound like? That's a door slamming. More importantly, it's a prison door slamming. So I can give you a little clue here. One way to call prison is the slammer. Yeah, think about it. Just remember that sound effect every time. Slam. He was in the slammer, right? To be in the slammer, to be in jail, to be behind bars, in the slammer. So that sound effect was there just to associate slamming the door with another way of saying jail. All right, let's take a look at these jokes. They're so good. They are criminal. Okay. All right. That wasn't the joke. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. I hear prisoners in jail get drunk a lot. Yeah, it's true. I hear that prisoners, when they're in jail or in the slammer, para practicar el vocabulario, they get drunk pretty often. Yeah, that's right. Well, that's what happens when you hang around bars 24/7. No. When you hang around bars 24/7, I just told you behind bars, entre rejas, so barras, rejas are bars. But this is an easy one. Come on. A bar is also a place where you drink, right? Un bar. So barra y bar. And if you didn't get it, the joke in the jingle here comes from that, right? What did the guy say when he walked into the bar? ¿Qué dijo el hombre cuando entró en el bar o cuando chocó contra la barra? Same thing. That's the ouch. De ahí viene ese chiste. So I hear prisoners get drunk a lot when they're in the slammer. Well, yeah, they hang around bars 24/7. To hang around is frecuentar. También es estar por ahí. Yeah, hang around. Frecuentar. They hang around bars 24/7. All right, here's another one for you. Let's see if you get this one. I think you guys will get this one. This one's pretty easy to figure out. A man with a stutter or a stammer. A stutter or a stammer es alguien que tartamudea. So a man with a stutter died in prison. Yeah, it was a shame. He never got to finish his sentence. Oh, no, you didn't. No. He never got to finish his sentence. Su frase, su sentencia. Well, it's an easy one. You say sentencia. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime and bad mistakes. I've made a few. You know that from there. I've done my sentence. So si dudamos si es make or do, cumplir la condena, la sentencia. Well, now we know from Freddie Mercury, I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. So he never got to finish his sentence. Okay, last one. What's the difference between a jeweler, and you should know how to pronounce this word if you listen to the diamond episode of FYI. We look at jewelry, jeweler, because it's difficult to pronounce. So what's the difference between a jeweler and a prison guard? One watches cells, and one sells watches. No. Come on. These are easy ones today. I think everybody can get these. One watches cells. Uno vigila las celdas. ¿Celdas, you say? Las celdas. One watches cells, the prison guard, and one sells watches. Y uno vende relojes. Hey, if you can play with words, that's great. My daughter's doing it daily already. I'm telling you, every day she's playing with words, extending them. I tell you, we have an ongoing joke with la gripe. She knows it's the flu, but she says, Papi, do you have the gripe? So let's put it this way. She's mastering the language so much that she feels comfortable playing with it. And I wish the same for all of my students, that you feel so comfortable in English that you can play with the language and enjoy the language and celebrate the language. Speaking of celebrations, it's time for famous birthday trivia.
One, two, three. Famous birthdays for you. Famous birthdays. Famous birthdays for me. Famous birthdays. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name. Oi, oi, oi. Birthdays for him. Famous birthdays for her. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name.
That's right, amigos. It's famous birthdays only on the show with no name. And a happy birthday to Laura and FYI. Now I'll never forget your birthday, Laura. Let's see who else is celebrating a birthday today. The first person was born in 1965. And this guy he was born in the United States, but of Croatian descent. Croata, you say. So Croatia is the country, and someone is Croatian. And you can tell by his name, because I remember when I discovered the band that he was in, Nirvana, I said, wow, his name is kind of weird. I never heard a name like that. And it's because I wasn't too familiar with Croatian names. He was the bassist, el bajista, and the co-founder of the rock band Nirvana, as I just said. There are 3 members, so and it's not Kurt Cobain, so, and it's not the guy who started the Foo Fighters, but this guy, man, what an amazing band that him and his friends created, and the rest is history, right? The most famous song, It Smells Like Teen Spirit, which is actually, it sounds amazing, right? It sounds poetic. Huele a espíritu de juventud. Yeah, but also, I don't know if you know the story. Teen Spirit is a girl's deodorant. It's like a flowery deodorant. So when Kurt Cobain was hanging out with a friend of his, a girl walked into the room, a mutual friend, and said, smells like Teen Spirit. And Kurt heard it. He wasn't familiar with the deodorant. And he heard it and he goes, that is monumental. And she was saying, huele al desodorante espíritu de... Unbelievable how that, because it sounds revolutionary. But she was saying, huele al desodorante ese floral. Que huele a flores. All right, number 2. Born in 1953, an Irish-American actor. He played James Bond in GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day. Very famous actor. He's been in so many movies, though, including Mrs. Doubtfire. Today's Name That Movie. And his first name means perforar. That's right. Perforar is his first name. I don't know if it's spelled the same. Is it? Yeah. And last but not least, this person was born in 1944, an actor who was in Desperado, Heat, From Dusk Till Dawn, if you remember those movies about the vampires, and Machete. You guys know Machete, right? Isador Machete Cortez. Well, that was and is his character. Everybody knows this guy as Machete. Now, if you talk about the sword, we say machete, but we call the interesting thing, we call the character Machete, but we call the sword machete. Totally different pronunciation there. And machete in Spanish, it has that double meaning too, right? Like que macho, que machete. What a stud. So yes, let's see. We've got a winner. Please give it up for Chris Valrol, Laura, FYI, Chris Novoselic, Pierce Bronson. Yeah, did you know Pierce? Un piercing, perforar. Pierce Bronson and Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo. And this is Danny Trejo, he spent a lot of time behind bars in the slammer. He was always getting in trouble as a kid. And, he actually met Charles Manson. I mentioned Charles Manson before, and I said, Charles Manson thought his parents thought he was sweet too, maybe. And he was talking about how he wasn't much of a man. When he looked at him, I was like, who is this clown? So, he was describing meeting Charles Manson in the slammer. And he goes, oh God, he was like 5'4", 5'5". So 5'4", 5'5". Calcula. Decimos 5 foot, lo que sea, pulgadas es la segunda parte. Little scrawny. Scrawny es delgaducho, sin músculo, sin nada, pequeñín, debilucho, scrawny. It's very different than brawny. Brawny means big. Scrawny means little when we're talking about people. He was a poor kind of like little bum, really. Like a bum. He was poor, kind of like a bum, really. Era pobre, como un vagabundo. He had a string for a belt. Tenía una cuerda para su cinturón. And he tied his pants with a string because he couldn't afford a belt. So here it is, Danny Trejo, the one, the only. And here he is on his birthday.
Oh, God, he was like 5'4", 5'5", little scrawny. He was poor, kind of like a bum, really. He had a string for a belt. He tied his pants with a string because he couldn't afford a belt.
All right, there you go, folks. And it's time for Name That Lyric.
Hi, hello, Alberto. I think the song is... No? Sorry, bye.
Name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. It's name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. It's name that lyric only on the show with no name.
That's right, amigos. And I'm going to give you the song because we are out of time. Se nos agota el tiempo. It's Nirvana, Lithium. It's a great song. I hope you can follow along with me. Thank you to all of you for being here today and every day. Thank you for your support. And thanks for making my job so much fun. I always say, part of my job, a huge part of my job is my students. So thank you, because when I'm not creating content, I'm presenting it to you guys in the form of radio shows, podcasts, and videos. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Follow on social media. Stay tuned for Ximena Holiday and sing it with me as we say goodbye. It's Nirvana Lithium. Thanks again, folks. Boom, 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 boom. I'm so happy 'cause today I found my friends.